Let's get started. Welcome to our Live at ServiceNow presentation. Today we're going to be covering CSDM data quality and how this impacts AI agent performance. Before we get into the presentation, I did want to go over the safe harbor notice for forward-looking statements. Please don't make any business decisions based off of forward-looking statements in this presentation. And before we get into the presentation, I also wanted to go over some housekeeping items for the event. Please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions that you may have during today's event. We'll try to answer them throughout the session or at the end of the session. At the bottom of your screen, you'll also find the reactions button. Could you please just give a quick little reaction to let me know that you found it? Okay, looks good. Now, feel free to use the reaction button and the Q&A throughout today's presentation. We'll also be sharing today's presentation and a recording at the end of the event. After this webinar, you'll be prompted to fill out a short survey. We really value your feedback, so if you do have the time, we'd appreciate it if you would take that survey. Live at ServiceNow puts on a lot of events with ServiceNow experts and peers, and here you can access the schedule for future Live at ServiceNow events, and the link will also be shared in today's chat. My name is Hannah Stoddard. I am a content portfolio manager at ServiceNow. I am a part of the organization AI Success at Scale, and we create enablement content for AI implementation. And today I'm collaborating with Eclipse AI.
Yeah, hello everyone. Good afternoon. So I'm Noel Ambrose. I'm head of sales at Eclipse AI. We're a partner of ServiceNow, an implementation partner. So we specialize in the products across the platform, but also what we're going to be talking today about is our AI specific offering for CSDM.
Yeah, and my name's Chris Jones. I'm the CTO and also one of the co-founders of Eclipse AI. I come from a long, almost 15-year long ServiceNow pedigree of implementing ServiceNow, and in the most recent half a decade have gone deep into AI, hence why we are here as Eclipse AI.
Perfect. Today we're going to be covering data and data readiness, CSDM alignment, and Eclipse AI will be showing a demo that covers accelerated CSDM alignment. So at this point in your ServiceNow journey, you've probably identified use cases in which artificial intelligence would be beneficial to your organization. For these artificial intelligence systems to generate accurate and thoughtful responses, they require clean, structured, and high-quality data sets to train them. And training is the process by which an AI model is fed large data sets so that it can learn patterns and correlations in language to generate responses to requests. By using high-quality data, the AI system can produce accurate, relevant, and meaningful responses to inquiries from customers and employees, which is vital in fostering trust between users and AI. What we've seen with AI implementations that utilize high-quality data is that there are higher rates of customer satisfaction and higher AI adoption rates. People are more likely to use self-service portals, which is reflected by higher ticket deflection rates. It also allows the implementation of artificial intelligence to be fast and successful. You're able to see ROI much quicker. By using high-quality data and applying data governance processes, you ensure that there's continuous improvement to the responses produced by AI. Data requires governance throughout its entire lifecycle, and the lifecycle of data and AI begins with the collection of data from your organization. Data is sourced from different areas of your resources, and this can include knowledge bases, service catalogs, and records like past incidents, resolution notes, work notes. It can really depend and vary from product to product. In situations where there isn't enough data to train an AI model, synthetic data tools or external sources can be used to fill those training needs. And data should be stored in secure databases in a secure database throughout its entire life cycle. Once the data has been sourced and secured, it goes through the process of being organized and structured so that it can be used by artificial intelligence models. To train the AI model, it is fed data so that it can learn how to generate accurate outputs based on the provided inputs. And the testing and validation stage begins once the model has been trained. This ensures that the desired outputs are actually being generated when the AI system is deployed. And the maintenance of data is required to ensure that the AI model and system have access to accurate and relevant information so that they can continue to produce the desired responses. And this requires data governance where you're regularly updating the data so that it remains accurate. And for example, knowledge articles should be updated when company policy changes. Moving into retirement, it's necessary to retire data once it has exhausted its usefulness or it is required to be retired by law, especially in situations where customer information is being utilized. To protect data as it's being retired, your organization should set a retirement policy using CMDB so that once data hits a certain criteria, it's able to be archived and deleted automatically from the platform. So our data readiness methodology outlines the steps required to prepare your data for use by AI agents. When we move into the data assessment and of data availability and readiness, this process begins with an assessment of your organization's data inventory. And this can be done by conducting an audit of operational, transactional, and historical data sets. You should also ensure that the data being used comes from verified and reliable systems integrated with ServiceNow. When assessing your data, it's critical to analyze it for quality and completeness by identifying any areas where there are inconsistencies, data duplicates, or missing data values. And this helps prevent issues from arising with your AI system. Data validation mechanisms such as automated checks and predefined thresholds for completeness and correctness can be utilized for the profiling of data. And when you begin data profiling, rules on data quality should be identified and enforced by relevant stakeholders, and ownership of data should be established. Following this process, you should have clean and validated data sets that meet AI consumption standards. During the transformation of data for AI agents, the standardization of data is used to ensure that the formats, units, and terminologies of data sets are clean, consistent, and aligned in a process known as data harmonization. Data normalization is used to ensure that there is a consistent scaling for numerical and categorical fields. You should also apply domain-specific taxonomies for enhanced data interpretability. This process structures the data in a way that makes it consumable for an AI model training and ensures seamless integration and high model accuracy. There are industry recognized field naming standards that should be utilized by orgs, and during this stage, synonymous fields should be consolidated into a unified schema. By creating comprehensive documentation of data and standardizing fields, you're improving data transparency and reducing misinterpretation across teams. And every organization has specific use cases for what they want to achieve with AI, and this should be considered when structuring data. When structuring data specific to use cases, information from multiple sources is merged using share keys. Schemas are then aligned with the relevant AI model input requirements, and once the data is structured by use case, tests are performed to validate consistency with AI expectations. Use case specific data structuring optimizes data sets for retrieval and insight generation. To maximize the speed at which data is processed, it's important to implement parallel processing and in-memory computation. Implementing search optimized indexing reduces query latency, and dynamic contextual retrieval can be achieved by utilizing graph databases. During the process of optimizing the efficiency of data processing, please take into consideration token rate limits because the cost can definitely add up. Data retrieval and orchestration. With data retrieval and orchestration, the main goal is to ensure the flow of data is reliable, which reduces the downtime of AI. To produce the best responses, ensure that AI has access to the most relevant data sources throughout automated query routing. With complex data workflows, implement task scheduling to automate and monitor recurring tasks. And it's not very effective to have data stored in multiple places. By implementing ETL pipelines, your data is in one central location and it can be utilized by the AI system in real time. And ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. There are multiple scalable storage solutions. Cloud native architectures seem to be the most effective and flexible, and ServiceNow data storage can be integrated with external warehouses if necessary. By law, there are data security compliance standards and measures that must be met to ensure that data is protected. Data masking is used to anonymize personally identifiable information. Encryption should be enforced for data at rest and in transit. You can implement role-based access control to limit who has access to sensitive data, and this leads to a compliant environment that fosters trust while supporting generative AI adoption. CMDB and CSDM work together to create a solid data foundation for the use of AI agents. Sometimes there's a little confusion between the two because they both have significant roles in the governance of data. Configuration Management Database stores AI data while also outlining the relationships between AI inventory. So you can see how the relationships between infrastructure, software, and systems are interconnected. It unifies AI data and workflows so that it exists in one platform. When CMD is fully utilized, you gain visibility into data throughout its entire lifecycle, which reduces risk and allows you to make insights into how data is impacting the business outcomes of your organization. The Common Service Data Model provides the architecture for CMDB. It's a set of guidelines that aligns your AI data with your AI strategy, and CSDM helps you to determine how to select data, where to put it, and how to manage it throughout its entire life cycle. And this improves the accuracy of the data being used by artificial intelligence. It applies strong data governance to ensure that your data is being protected and it's legally compliant. By utilizing CSDM, you are able to see how your AI agents are using data to make decisions. And CSDM data alignment is critical for the function of AI agents.
Thanks, Hannah. So I'm just going to cover a couple of slides before I hand over to Chris, and then Chris is going to show you a demonstration of the AI engine that we've created to align your data. So it'll kind of do the analysis of your data. But before that, if we just think about this in the context of the ServiceNow platform and all the different parts of the platform you might be using, if you do not have your data CSDM aligned, it does have an impact upon the features and the functionality within the platform. And as CSDM continues to be updated in the future and new versions become available next year, there'll be more dependency upon your data being CSDM aligned to deliver these outcomes that you're trying to do as a customer of ServiceNow. So Hannah, if you don't mind just moving on a slide. So if we look at some of the things that Hannah's already mentioned, what we've built is the way to accelerate that CSDM alignment, which will then support your AI initiatives, because it's all about good data, quality data, which is ready for AI when you're implementing AI in the platform, because it can make smarter decisions. It's got more context of your services, and that's based upon the service models that you're creating in that CSDM abstracted layer within the ServiceNow platform. So that drives better AI agent performance by having those service models and those relationships, so it can make the right decisions on whether it be criticality, impact, etc. So I think that's kind of the last slide, Hannah, isn't it? Before
There's this
yeah,
slide.
so I'm just going to briefly touch on this, but Chris will go into this in more detail. So what you're going to see today is how we can show you the before and the after. So the before is about looking at your data within ServiceNow, where it might be that you have data misclassified in the wrong classification. You might have data in custom tables that therefore don't align to the CSDM data model. So what we do through the engine is we look at your data and then doing the analysis through the AI machine learning classification, we can actually identify where your gaps are, where your data is misaligned. But more importantly, we can tell you where your data needs to be put into the correct tables in the CSDM model. And that's extremely powerful for customers because otherwise you're having to do this manually. You're having to try and work through that data exercise, which is extremely time consuming. So what we're doing is we're really accelerating that time. So we can accelerate it using AI to do all of that analysis and create the output that's ready for you then to actually put into the correct tables in your ServiceNow platform to leverage all of the functionality and the features I mentioned earlier that would be available if you have your data aligned. So Chris, I'm going to hand over to you and let you kind of really show the audience, what is the engine? How does it work? How does it give that real value to customers?
Thank you very much. I'll take over the share. All right, hopefully you can see my screen now. You should see a spreadsheet. So as we, as Eclipse AI consultants, what we're doing is we are enhancing and augmenting our consultants. We have a paradigm or a tagline of AI plus human equals superhuman. But what we're doing here is we're changing the game in terms of not only do you need to prepare data for your AI, we can use AI to prepare you for using AI because it readies your data for you. And that's what we're effectively doing here, because the CSDM plays such an important role in the value and the functionality of ServiceNow. So we tag our agent along to help us be better CSDM experts. What would normally take me 2 weeks of work takes mere minutes, if not hours, but no more than that. And that's the real power here. So here we have an example of, it's actually real data that has been anonymized from a real customer of ours. They had all of their service offerings in one table, in the service table, not in the service offering table. So that was the first mistake they made. The second mistake is that they continue to build all of their services inside of this one table. And because they didn't understand the CSDM, they customized it a lot. They created classification types inside of the field classifications, which really triggers a lot of problems with the logic and the out-of-the-box functionality inside ServiceNow. And so bringing ourselves along with our agent, we were able to consume this data, but also have a conversation in the room with the customer at the same time. And we would immediately produce a model diagram, which I'm going to start showing you now. So first of all, I'm going to introduce you to our agent, Solo. So let's wake her up.
Hello.
Hi there. How are you doing, Solo? Today we are with ServiceNow, live on ServiceNow, and we're going to show the lovely people on this webinar what you can do for us.
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the webinar today. I'm excited to show everyone how I can help with CSDM v5 analysis and validation right here in ServiceNow, whether it's checking service models, classifying services, validating relationships, or planning transformations. I'm ready to dive in. What would you like to demonstrate first?
Thank you very much. What I'd like you to do actually is, obviously you've seen I've attached an Excel spreadsheet. I'd like you to analyze it. And it's got all sorts wrong with it. It contains the current extract of services for one of our customers, and they've used a single table instead of ServiceNow, and they've customized the classifications. So the services listed here are a mismatch of several different CSDM artifacts and classes. So I want you to be able to analyze that spreadsheet and give us an assessment of it, please.
I'm going to analyze your customer service spreadsheet to identify classification issues and CSDM compliance gaps. I'll look for mismatched artifacts, incorrect classifications, and provide you with a clear assessment of what needs fixing. Let me take a look, and I'll walk through the key issues with you. Are you happy for me to proceed with that analysis?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Looking at your customer's spreadsheet, I can see significant CSDM compliance issues. They've got about 25 entries all crammed into a single table with custom classifications that don't align with CSDM v5 at all. Here are the critical problems. Classification chaos. I'm seeing services marked as business critical. Infrastructure, platform, and application which aren't valid CSDM classifications. These should be business service, technical management service, or application service. Mixed artifacts. You've got actual business applications like Customer Portal and SAP ERP sitting alongside infrastructure services like Network Services and DNS, all classified the same way. In CSDM v5, business applications belong in design and planning domain, while infrastructure belongs in service delivery. Missing service instances. I don't see any proper service instance entries.
All right.
Things
Thank
like
you. Thank you for that. So you are quite chatty. What I'm going to say for the people on the webinar is what she's doing at the moment is that she is obviously she's uploading the spreadsheet that I've given her, but she's also using the tools that we've given her to be able to analyze anything, any kind of input that we give her, whether it's voice input, whether she's joined in the meeting with us and she's being fed live transcripts with our customer, any documentation, any images, any diagrams, but more importantly, the conversations that we have in the meeting room with our customers. She can listen and help us and create whiteboarding. So what she's doing at the moment is we've fine-tuned and trained our model around the CSDM, around ServiceNow, around the best practices, around enterprise architecture. And what she's doing now is producing that report for us based off of that learning. Now, I've already done the work with her today because she's going to take a couple of minutes, and I've got a analysis page already ready for us. This is what she did a few moments ago. And she has access to Word documentation and fully trained on how specifically Word.docx works. And she produced this wonderful diagram based off a lot of the stuff she's already mentioned and said, which gives us a very quick assessment for the customer. And this is useful because we just want to be able to help a customer on their journey very quickly. And we get these assessments out for whatever services and data that they've got for us straight away. The next thing that I asked her to do was to give us a visualization of the situation. So she's very kindly put this together for us, which is a mermaid chart diagram, a whiteboarding of what is in that Excel spreadsheet in an attempt to be in that aligned CSDM model. And here we have that kind of rundown from a visual perspective, which is quite useful. Let's see if she's done anything here. Yeah, so she's building.
Thanks for walking everyone through that.
She wants to have a talk. No, thank you. Just turned her off for the moment. Right. So the next thing that I asked her to do was I need her to, having done the assessment, give us a view, a whiteboarded view of the ideal service model using the CSDM version. So instead of me going onto a whiteboard and starting to discuss the problem that the customer's in, we straight away go from this assessment into, can I please see what good looks like, basically. So let's go up to here and we can see the patients. So the first off, before we get to that modelization, is she's taken that spreadsheet and created one for us so that we can observe some specific differences between what was in the spreadsheet from the customer, from the specific export out of ServiceNow, to understanding where it needs to be going. So here we have the current name as it was in that spreadsheet that you saw previously, and she's built the spreadsheet out for us where it shows the current classification, the current table, which is all wrong, and then it starts informing us of where that should have gone. So these were classified previously as service offerings. They're clearly not, and they've been classified as technical management services, business applications. I reckon there's probably more in the child classes. So it informs you of where those tables are going to be. It helps you classify them as well, so you use the classifications appropriately. And then it also creates at the end there is the classification rationale so that we understand why it is that she thinks that that is appropriate. Just checking time. So then on this page, it's about creating that hierarchical parent structure so that we understand that if we're taking a flat file of service offerings and they're not correct, they obviously need to spread around and go to the correct places. But then we need to create artifacts or components that don't exist yet in ServiceNow, the business applications, the supportive application services, which of course is service instances as well now with the new case. And then it also shows the relationships that need to exist between them. So it creates this very long spreadsheet so that we can use in helping the customer understand the position that they find themselves in. This is just a quick reference guide so that they can see the classification references that she uses. And then the remediation summary of how we go from the current state, which is all the way over here, to a mature state with the estimation of effort that it would take to be able to translate that all. And then we've got the action plan of what needs to happen over the next 6 weeks to resolve this. Going to have a look at the mermaid diagram. So I asked it to create a mermaid diagram to correct the infrastructure services that were found inside of that new spreadsheet that she created. So here we have it. Now the service offerings everything was classified as a service offering. She's built this mermaid chart for us. And what we have here is business services that never previously existed, service portfolios that would help bring digital portfolio management alive. And there we have the service offerings for what was found inside of that. Now, with every business and business service offering, there is obviously a delivery mechanism in the CSDM, and that is denigrated and decomposed inside of the technical management services, as they are called now, as well as the technical management service offerings. And these are the delivery mechanisms of those services. These are the teams that are responsible, the service owners that are responsible for delivering these services that make those applications work. So these are a number of service offerings that stratify the different flavors of a service. So there's video services, there's DNS services, there's Azure hosting services, and those can all be stratified into gold, silver, bronze, or based on location, or based on VIP, which then obviously informs the service level management of the delivery. But most importantly, these underpin and connect to the enterprise architecture piece. So over here, we have the design paradigm of the CSDM. They talk to the capabilities of the business, but also the applications that are supporting those services. And then when we go to here, we have the application services and service instances, which are the actual instantiation pieces of the business applications that are made available to your customer base, to your internal employees. That is all I had planned for you guys today. The main crux of it is we're using our agent to help us get to the position of a service model where we can be there in a matter of hours, if not limited to 1 week, instead of months, if not years, to get your CSDM aligned across your business. So I'm going to hand over to Noel now, who's going to show you some of the dashboarding output that our agent also gives.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris, for that. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen. Can you see it, Chris?
Yep.
Perfect. So what we have is we've also got another set of agents that, based upon the data that the customer provides to us that we run through the engine, it then builds out these dashboards automatically. So for every business application that we model based upon your data, we build out these dashboards to show you the current state, how you get to the future state, where those gaps were that Chris mentioned in his demo. But it's more of this dashboard that it's easier to consume. If you're a service owner, a platform owner, a process owner, the technical side of some of the parts that, the diagrams, the CSDM mermaid charts that Chris showed, they can be quite technical, so therefore they're not necessarily for all stakeholders. So what this allows people to do is just consume that data easily through a dashboard. So you can see in this example, we had 24 items which were run through the engine. It meant that all of those items were incorrectly classified. The customer had a very flat structure on their data, and everything was in incorrect tables. So you can see here that the dashboard tells the customer that they had these missing service layers if they wanted to align their data to CSDM. And you can see on the far right, you've got the reclassification. So, Exchange Online should have been a business application. Email analytics is a technical service. Production instance was a service instance, and email communication was a business service. They just had everything classified as one. If we scroll down, we can then see that they had everything as either a service offering or they had missing data. So what our engine does is it kind of reclassifies the correct structure for a customer, and then starts to decide also what are those service instances that you require, also the technology management service that you need in CSDM, business services, business capabilities. What we can also do at the top of the dashboard is, if we want, we can see those relationships that it created. So, and I can also hover. So if I'm unsure as an owner, I can start to understand, what does this really mean for me about these relationships and the types of relationships that exist in CSDM. So it becomes a training aid as well for customers. And you can see here current state issues, what the business value is by having their data CSDM aligned. We can also see what the impact is for your products. So depending on which products you're using within the platform, our analysis tells the product owners what this means in their area of ServiceNow. So without CSDM alignment, these are the actual quantified impacts across each of the different product areas. So I'm not, again, going to talk through every single one because it's very extensive in what you can see. But what we've also got within the dashboard is the ability to show the persona. So if I'm a service owner, I can start to look in to, well, okay, where my data is not CSDM aligned, what does it mean for me as the service owner? So you can see it kind of highlights the current pain points, longer mean time to repair, manual reporting effort, preventable incidents. And on the right-hand side, clearly the benefits then if you get your data to be aligned. And on the far side, again, more and more detail. So this is all being automatically created as output from our AI agents. So I didn't do anything manually, either did Chris. An important point, though, to remember is all of this that we create is being delivered alongside Chris as a CSDM expert, as a consultant. So he has the chance to evaluate and validate this data with the customer in that workshop in real time. So once he's run the data, he can present it to a customer and actually start to get some feedback. And then based on that feedback, he can then pass that, the context of that conversation back through the engine, and then it will update these dashboards and the mermaid diagrams and the other data that we've created and you've seen today automatically. So that means rather than taking where what typically happens is a customer has a workshop, they manually start to describe their kind of data, their business services, what they currently have. And then what happens is people then take that data, they then go off for potentially a number of days, if not longer, before they return back to you as a customer and they present that data back to you. But already you've got this time, which is elapsed time, which means that it's stalling your alignment. It potentially is stalling your other initiatives that you could be working on while you're waiting for that to come back with, here's your analysis, here's your diagrams, your Visio diagrams. Now we need to discuss. Then they take them away again, and then they have to update them. So if you think about that, time alone is typically weeks of effort per business application. Whereas you saw with Chris, he's able to do that in, a matter of sometimes minutes, if not, maybe an hour of actually running all that analysis and talking to you directly in that workshop. And that's the big differentiator between the manual approach and the CSDM AI engine that we've developed is that time to value for you as the customer versus that manual, very time-consuming approach that is typically happening. So I'm going to hand it back to Hannah. I think you're going to open it up to obviously questions from the floor from everybody on the webinar. I'm going to stop sharing if okay. And Hannah, it's back to you.
Sounds good. Before we get into questions, I did want to share one of the resources that we have. This is a link to Now Create and also a QR code. This is where you can have access to implementation enablement content surrounding artificial intelligence. You'll be able to find assets surrounding data readiness, AI agents, Now Assist, just anything that you need to ensure that your implementation is successful. And we also love to have feedback on our enablement content so that we can improve it in the future. So if you do use our resources, feel free to either contact us or leave reviews on Now Create. And I do want to highlight this. ServiceNow is committed to your success, and these are 3 offerings that are at the heart of our customer service ecosystem. ServiceNow Impact is a customer success product that helps you to maximize value with long-term adoption, guidance, and support. Our training and certification resources are also available through ServiceNow University, and this will help you build the organization talents you need to succeed. And Expert Services is our ServiceNow professional services team that helps you to implement and optimize your ServiceNow investments. If anyone has any more questions, you can reach out to us by email and we will respond to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for attending our webinar today. I hope that you have a lot to take away.